All right, let's talk about fretting the instrument. It's important to have good technique when fretting a note on the guitar in order that we can get a nice full round sound. So before I even talk about what you need to do in terms of hand positioning, let's listen to a few different notes and I can show you what I'm talking about. That would be with proper positioning. We get a nice round full sound. Now listen to this. Sometimes you may hear that kind of sound. That means that we don't quite have the proper positioning that we want. So, what you need to do when you're pressing down a string is, first of all, let's take a look actually at the back side of the neck. You want to make sure that your thumb is helping out with the action that's happening. Oftentimes I'll see students where they try to do all of the work with their first, second, third, and fourth fingers and not get the thumb involved. And the thumb can actually help you in this clamping motion to get more strength. So make sure your thumb is on the back side. I either have it in the center of the back of the neck or slightly up higher. Let's start with the first finger and let's press down on the third fret. That'll be a nice easy one to get started with on the first string. When you're pressing down, first of all, the positioning of where you are in the fret is very important. You want to try to stay in what I would call the upper 2/3 of the fret. So we would call this the lower third. This would be halfway through, and this would be the upper 2/3. You want to try to get closer to this side, to the middle of this fret, as opposed to this direction. And let me show you what that sounds like. If I'm over here, I get a nice full sound. As I move to the lower part of the fret, I start to lose the clarity of that sound. So make sure you're higher up. Also, make sure you're not pressing down on the actual fret. You're not going to get a good sound out of that either. It's sounding a little bit, but it's also a little bit muted. Also, notice that I'm using the tip of my finger. I'm not using the flat part. You want to come in, and I like to kind of call it coming in perpendicular to the fretboard, as opposed to coming in flat like this. You're going to get more strength out of your finger coming in using your fingertip. If you look right here, I've got a nice arch to my finger. As I said, it's not flat. Also, I have a gap between the bottom of the neck and my palm. My palm isn't all up against the bottom of the neck. I like to tell my students to pretend they have like a ball or an orange or a small apple in their hand, and pretend that that's in your hand below the neck of the guitar. So you get this nice open space. So now let's try some of the different fingers. How about we slide down a little bit? Let's move down to the first fret with our first finger. And that's going to sound like this. And let's try using the other three fingers. So let's try second finger on the second fret. Let's try third finger on the third fret. And let's try the fourth finger on the fourth fret. So really make sure that you're getting a nice full sound out of all four fingers. And probably your pinky is going to be the weakest finger. Usually it is. So don't avoid using the finger. I see a lot of students, they try to just avoid using it and just use the other three. Make sure you continue to use it because it will get stronger if you continue to employ that finger. So a great exercise would be just to play those four frets that I gave you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then go back down. That would be a great exercise for you. As you start to do more fretting of the strings on the guitar, your fingers may start to get a little bit sore. Over time, though, you're going to build up calluses on the tips of your fingers. So the main thing is to just continue to play and to not get discouraged. You got to really build up the endurance of those fingers and build up the tips of them so that over time they're going to be resistant to the pain that you might feel at first. So now that we've got the proper technique in terms of fretting the strings, let's do a little bit of a quiz for you. So how about this? Let's try, see if you can find the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and I want you to press that down with your 2nd finger. Go ahead and give that a try. All right, so if you haven't found it already, this is what I was asking you to do. We've got the 3rd string, we've got the 5th fret, and with our 2nd finger, which would be your middle finger. So that should sound like this. Let's try a few more. How about the 6th string, 2nd fret, with your 1st finger? Go ahead and give that a try. So that is going to sound like this. 6th string, 2nd fret, 1, 2, 1st finger. And just for good measure, let's try one more. How about the 4th string, let's say 7th fret, with your pinky, your 4th finger. All right, let's find that. We've got our 4th string, we've got our 7th fret, which actually you can use your fret markers, which we were talking about that before, up here, and then with your pinky, 4th finger. Great. So definitely keep all these things in mind, and you'll be fretting and making some good sounding notes in no time.